As sure as I speak, I lie here dead. As cold as the cobbles rests my blood-stained head. I'll wander lost in limbo be, till justice sets my spirit free. With my demise begins a tale, a story that will chill your bones, a tragedy that happened here within these very stones. The story begins in a blacksmith's house, a humble home for a simple man. He worked hard to provide his wife and daughter the best a poor man can. The blacksmith's daughter was beautiful, with a heart so pure as gold, the apple of her father's eye cast from her mother's mould. Dear Josephine was a kind, sweet girl, loved by everyone she knew, but she was loved by one more than most, and she favoured this boy too. Harry Shilling was the blacksmith's hand. He worked hard for small reward. He had caught the eye of Josephine with his fine looks and shoulders broad. The blacksmith's apprentice was just a boy when the two first met each other. They would laugh and cry, embrace and fight, like sister and like brother. But the winds of time bring change. Head first in love they fell. So strong a love you only hear the storytellers tell. Zachariah Sheldon was handsome, tall and wealthy, an educated pharmacist that kept the townsfolk healthy. But Zachariah's riches came from a more profitable sideline, the import and export of the world's finest wine. Sheldon's fine wines had provided him with riches beyond compare, but despite his fortune, he longed for someone his wealth to share. Zachariah's head was turned by the blacksmith's only daughter, the fairest girl he had ever seen, so he was very keen to court her. Sheldon planned a party, inviting friends from far and wide. He invited the blacksmith and his wife to secure himself a bride. For many hours his guests indulged with food and wine and song. Sheldon asked the blacksmith and his wife to stay after the rest had gone. Sheldon sat the blacksmith down and said the time had come to find himself a pretty wife who could provide him with a son. With the exchange of their daughter's hand, he would see the blacksmith reimbursed, and with a smile and a shake of hands filled with gold the blacksmith's purse. On returning home, they broke the news to their daughter of the plan of her betrothal to the wine seller, who was a handsome and wealthy man. He would provide her with such riches and no hunger nevermore. He was a kind and loving man, of that they both were sure. Stunned to silence, the poor girl stood, too shocked to even speak. She fell helpless at her father's feet, tears rolling down her cheek. She begged them not to force her, marry a man against her willing, for her heart belonged to her childhood love, the honourable Harry Shilling. The blacksmith flew into a rage. How selfish could she be? With her marriage to Zachariah, from poverty they'd be free. You have no choice, the deal's been done. To Sheldon you will marry. You'll grow to love and care in time. A son one day you'll carry. Within a month Sheldon had secured himself a wife. Zachariah explained that the blacksmith boy was no longer in her life. Sheldon was not a foolish man. He knew the boy would not let go, so he went to visit him as he worked. A tough lesson he would show. Sheldon warned the apprentice, keep a distance from his wife, his words enforced by holding to his neck a butcher's knife. He said, I've seen you watching her. I've seen her smile at you. If I catch you within a mile of her, with this knife I'll run you through. But true love can never be denied, and in secret continued meeting, any moment stole together, meant so much, however fleeting. 6 months past came Sheldon's wish. He soon would have an heir. The thought of carrying this man's child filled Josephine with despair. Thoughts of bonny babies did not fill her heart with joy. She had no choice to marry Sheldon, but she would not have his boy. She ran to the young apprentice and begged him end the life not born. Not a single tear she shed for the child she did not mourn. Just a single blow was all it took to end the fetus that grew inside. And in that moment, without knowing, Sheldon's lifeline died. Sheldon never knew the truth. A miscarriage was to blame. His wife now bore no child, and her conscience felt no shame. The lovers could no longer bear it. They would not continue with their sadness. A love that could take another man's child was nothing less than madness. They would run away together, and they would never be apart. A second chance somewhere new, a new life the two could start. With the loss of his unborn child, Sheldon's affection turned to violence. He often beat poor Josephine until her screams turned silent. Harry could stand no longer, see his sweetheart beaten so. He and Josephine would leave, and that evening they would go. Sheldon told that as he slept, Harry took his Josephine. They left in the dark of night, so they would not be seen. Some said that from that day Zachariah was never seen again. In his favourite chair he would remain, with solitude his pain. In that chair he stayed for the next day, then week, a month passed by. No one came, and no one cared, and no one saw him die. They found him 6 weeks later, rotting in his chair. His eyes, open and tormented, showed the curse of a dead man's stare. The wine shop and the house were sold, and cleared all the trace of Zachariah. All of his belongings burnt upon a fire. Whilst cleaning up the wine shop, a grisly secret was revealed. A room hidden in the cellar, a door by barrels sealed. So let us turn back time to when the couple ran away. They never managed to leave the town on that fateful day. On the night the two absconded, a coincidence in time, I broke into Sheldon's cellar, intent to steal some wine. In the darkness of the cellar, as I filled my bag below, Josephine and Shilling through the house crept quiet and slow. As they neared the door, she stumbled to the ground, waking Sheldon from his rest, eyes open to the sound. In a rage fueled with madness, he struck the couple dead, killed with a barrel hammer, a single blow to the head. The insanity consumed Zachariah. This man tried to steal his wife. He dragged down to the cellar the two bodies and a knife. For trying to take his Josephine, for his treachery and lies, Zachariah took the knife, and he cut out the young man's eyes. As Josephine's fair looks were to blame for her disgrace, he took the butcher's knife and slashed the beauty from her face. From the darkness of my hiding place, I saw the horror and the gore, causing a buckle to my legs, on my knees down to the floor. In an instant Zachariah turned, and through the darkness saw me cower. Frozen by sheer terror, I was not hard to overpower. He threw me to the cellar floor and raised the hammer high. You have seen too much. You cannot leave. For your foolishness you die. Sheldon built a wall of barrels and hid the bodies there. He dragged himself up to the house and collapsed into his chair. Plagued by his madness, with no reprieve or rest of time, in solitude and suffering, haunted by his crime. They found him 6 weeks later, rotting in his chair. His eyes, open and tormented, showed the curse of a dead man's stare. Whilst cleaning up the cellar, a grisly secret was revealed. A room hidden in the darkness, a door by barrels sealed. They lay our bodies to the ground, in peace our souls to sleep. No flowers at our graves, no mourning eyes to weep. As sure as I speak, I lie here dead. As cold as the earth rests my blood-stained head. Now the truth is told, and my soul is set free, and peaceful sleep now welcomes me.